Welcome to the First Round Fantasy Podcast, your first choice for second round advice, with your hosts, Gabriel Miramontes and Jacob Bartley.
Burrow on 3rd and 7. Jefferson hauls it in. Would be Max Crosby. Touchdown, San Francisco.
Welcome on into the First Round Fantasy Podcast, your home for your first choice for second round advice. Gabriel Miramontes, Jacob Bartley. Man, that intro. It's a good one. Thanks, producer Jake. Jacob Bartley, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing well, man. I was just thinking that we'll update that intro and it'll be us making football plays like on the flag football field. It'll be like you doing a juke move and spinning around and me just running some dudes over. Let's do it.
I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. I went to play basketball for the first time since the pandemic the other day, and my feet have been hurting since then. And it's been 4 days. So yeah. I don't know if that'll be me anytime soon. Welcome on into the First Round Fantasy Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. If you happen to like what you hear today, we give you some positive advice. Go ahead. Feel free to like and subscribe. It helps us out so much. You can find us on YouTube at First Round Fantasy, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at First Round Fantasy. Like, follow, whatever you need to do to help us out. We appreciate it so much. And if you're a subscriber, we give you a thank you live on the show. Thank you. All right. Air high fives from us since we can't do it in person. Today we are talking about Dynasty running backs. If you catch the pod or if you caught the podcast just a couple of weeks ago, we talked about our top 7 Dynasty quarterbacks. Today, we're going to bring you our top 7 Dynasty running backs, as well as preview some of those other rookie running backs that just got drafted in this year's NFL draft. And that starts with today's question. Because we missed the NFL draft, or at least we didn't talk about it much because we haven't been on since then, Jacob Bartley, I can go first. But the question here today is, what was your favorite draft pick from the NFL draft? So I already told Jacob before the podcast started that we're not going to choose a running back since that's all we're talking about today. So this could be tight end, wide receiver, quarterback, maybe even defense, Jacob. I don't know. Maybe you got something to say. But I'll start us off. And you're not going to like it, but I'll be quick with it.
Hope you don't steal mine.
Well, I think I know who yours is. Maybe I'll try to pivot because I think I know who yours is. So, yes, I'll pivot right now. I'm going to go with wide receiver, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but luckily this is time to practice before we do our wide receiver fantasy rankings. That's Jackson Smith Enigma, wide receiver for the now Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a guy that is going to be impact right away. Tyler Lockett hasn't really showed any signs of slowing down. They still have DK Metcalf. Geno Smith is good. Kenneth Walker. But Tyler Lockett isn't going to be there forever. So I think if he has a promising rookie season, maybe not fantasy relevant, but promising, because you can still have a promising rookie season and not be fantasy relevant. I think we can see big things from Jackson Smith Enigma. Is that how you say it? I don't know.
Njigba.
There you go.
JSN. Just call him JSN, man. I've gave in. Just JSN.
I apologize ahead of time. But, that's one that I really liked. I think that in Dynasty drafts, he's the first wide receiver off the board. So call it safe. But I'm playing it safe with wide receivers right now. So that is my pick. That's one of my favorite picks from the NFL draft. I love the landing spot. Geno Smith played remarkably well last year. Hopefully he can keep it together, keep it going. Jacob, who was your favorite offseason, or I should say NFL draft pickup?
I'm curious if you were thinking the same one as me. It's Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts.
That's why I had
to pick it. Man, I'm just look, you and I have a connection to him. Yes, we do. Don't deny it. You keep denying it. We do. Not a personal connection. We don't know.
Yeah, we used to eat lunch with him at recess.
Yeah, no, we drafted him in a Devy league, okay? And everybody gave us crap, but it ended up working out, obviously. So I just, first of all, when he was doing his press tour for before the draft, and he was saying, I want to be one of the greats. I want to be mentioned with Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. Like, when somebody says that, and it's actually like they have the physical tools to possibly like, impose their will and make it happen. Like, that's exciting. Like, not that he will ever reach those heights. I doubt it. Like, I doubt anyone will, but it seems like he's motivated to do so. So, and he's big, he's huge. We've seen this transition of the running quarterback in the NFL, especially in the past decade. It's like become a lot more prominent. And one of the main reasons for me is Shane Steichen. That's the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He was in Philadelphia. He worked with Jalen Hurts. He helped develop Jalen Hurts. Imagine what he can do with Anthony Richardson, who is a far more superior athlete than most quarterbacks in the NFL, including Jalen Hurts. So I just think this is like a match made in heaven. He has weapons. They got to fix that offensive lineup a little bit, but hey, maybe Richardson could just run and get it out of there. So I'm excited, man. Like, I cannot wait to watch him play. Like, I'm straight up watching Colts games this year.
I do have some thoughts about Anthony Richardson. Yes, he's one of my highly touted rookie quarterbacks as well. I'll give you some applause for that. It was a nice pick. But it's inevitable that we're going to be talking about him a little bit. More applause? Oh my God, Jacob! You don't
I was going to keep bowing.
No, you only get one round of applause. But we're going to talk about him a little bit later because he will inevitably come up as we transition into our Dynasty running backs. Because
I will say, I don't think it's going to be all great right away. I think it's going to take him some time.
Well, then let's just wait till we get there, baby. Because like I said, he's coming, which means there's a running back coming from the Indianapolis Colts. That is a Dynasty top 7 running back. So we'll talk about him in a little bit. But I think we should just dive right in. You ready, Jacob? I think this is the first time 7 minutes into a show that we are getting into what we were supposed to be talking about. That's like the fastest we've ever done it. So,
maybe because we don't have there's nobody watching our show except Starger, so there's no comments to answer. That's why.
Fair enough. The off-season days, they're slow, they're sluggish, but we love doing it anyways. Yeah. And right off the bat, there's some controversy. So let's figure out who we talk about first. Jacob's Dynasty running back at the number 1 spot is Bijan Robinson, recently drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. I have him as number 2 on my list, but my number 1 doesn't balance out with Jacob's. So it looks like Bijan Robinson is our consensus number 1 Dynasty running back going into 2023. Jacob, you have him, of course, a little bit higher than me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man. As I sat down to do this, I couldn't believe it because I did my running back rankings like a few months ago during the offseason. Well, about a month ago. And they have drastically changed, which is crazy to me. But and obviously Bijan wasn't considered during that time. But now he just straight up to number 1. And it's crazy to me because like in redraft, no way. But like in Dynasty, yes, because we're talking about youth. We're talking about he can do everything. He's going to a place where they ran the ball the most last year. And like, what is there not to love here? And it's like, it's not like the team. Normally you think, oh, he's going to a terrible team where they can stack the box and stop him. Well, good luck doing that because they're going to be able to throw to Drake London and whatever other pass catchers they have there. I won't say names, but yeah. So it's just a perfect match, and it's going to be. Look, if you get Bijan this year, just enjoy it. Good for you.
Just enjoy it. Good for you. He did nothing short of succeed at the college level. Top 1,200 yards in 2 of his 3 seasons there. Correction, almost top 1,200 yards. But one of those seasons was 1,500 yards, averaged 6.1 a carry. By golly, he's a man to be reckoned with, of course. And I like what you said. Arthur Smith, right? Literally Atlanta Falcons, most rushing attempts in football last year. I still don't think this is bad news for like Tyler Algier. I think it's more of like a problem for someone like Cordell Patterson, a little bit older, probably going to get cut. That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm seeing. But, Bijan will come in and he will take the charge. I was reading an article the other day from, I think, Pro Football Network, and they gave off a crazy stat. Like 9 of the last 10 first-round running backs that were selected have like gone on to just get fed in their rookie seasons. We're talking over 250.
Well, they
carries.
better be if they're drafting that high.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can expect this guy to just probably 300 carries or north of that, barring any injuries or setbacks. And with that comes, fantasy success, right? Volume matters over talent. It's sad truth. Oh, wait, Stardew's getting to oh no, we'll talk about that later. But it's a sad reality, right? Guys that are talented can sometimes get buried on depth charts, but they can also get kind of schemed out if their talent doesn't match what their head coach or that specific offense is looking for. Bijan Robinson, you couldn't have asked for a better landing spot. Expect Derrick Henry-esque workloads from this guy, and even some pass catching chops to boot. So he's pretty good, Jacob. I can't lie.
I might have to
get
get a Sunday ticket this year because I'm going to watch Falcon games too.
Oh, well, the only reason why I have him a little bit lower than you is just because we've seen it at the college level, and I get it, the comp, Saquon Barkley, all that stuff. It's all there. And Saquon Barkley was great in his rookie season. But they are starting a questionable quarterback in Desmond Ridder. Hopefully this team overall can improve this season, which I really think they can. But it's one of those things where I just kind of want to wait to see it before I believe it. Like in Dynasty rookie drafts, he's for sure the 101. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
In redraft leagues, I think I'm going with heavy hitters like CMC.
Oh,
maybe even Austin Eckler if he stays in San Diego before I go with Bijan.
Yeah, I mean, he's nowhere near the 10, like lock it in RB1 in redraft. Like who knows what can happen? He hasn't done it on the NFL field. And look, as much as we want to say it's a guarantee, I mean, running back is arguably the easiest position to go from college to pro because just give me the ball and run. It's like you don't have to learn the system much. It's like just go. So I think he's going to be fine, but it doesn't guarantee he's going to be a top 3 running back in the NFL, but he probably will be.
Yeah, most definitely. All right. Jacob, I got to tell you this. Are you ready for this? Don't be mad at me. No, I can't tell you because you're going to be mad at me.
What do you mean?
Let's just say I'm not considering him at the 101 in our upcoming
oh my gosh
franchise league dynasty draft.
All right, never mind.
I may not be choosing
because you traded the 102.
I traded the 102 and the 103. And yes, for all you listening out there, I did some bad things. I finagled my way. I'm publicly apologizing it right now, even though none of you know what I'm talking about. But I'm looking to make amends. And I have made amends, and I no longer have 6 first-round draft picks.
Well, you have the right to trade for the picks. I just how you got them is questionable. But I will say, since you brought it up, I will say, look, you're a seasoned fantasy player, Gabe, and look, the listeners need to know. They need the advice, man. We all need to know how you do this. How when we do our rookie draft in your league in July, how are you going to draft for 3 teams at once? I'm just curious. Like everybody wants to know. Like, is it phone, laptop, tablet? Alyssa's phone, your phone, tablet?
I have to keep that part secret because the identities of my alter egos, they need to remain anonymous. But
like you're not logging into each account every pick. Like that's a lot of work, man.
You know what? Never mind. I changed my stance. All I say is, Jacob, prove it. Prove it, Jacob. Where's the evidence? Let's move on. Let's talk about our next dynasty running back. Bijan was obviously number 1. At number 2, there's also some mix-up. Jacob has Kenneth Walker III. I have Bijan Robinson. I'm trying not to mention other names here, but I'm just kind of looking at it. I also have Kenneth Walker on my top 7. But I think it's time we talk about another guy, and that is Breece Hall of the New York Jets. Obviously, a remarkable rookie season that was kind of hindered by the ACL injury that derailed the rest of his season. He's looking to come back strong. All reports as of right now are that he's ready to go week 1. Now, of course, we are far, far away from week 1, so a lot of things can change before then. But you just have to like what's going on around him. They trade for Aaron Rodgers. How good is Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to be poor? Is he not going to be that great? Well, guess what? He's 10 times better than Mike White or Zach Wilson will ever be. So there's one. They've obviously made some moves to improve the offense as a whole, drafting offensive tackles and also trading for a slew of wide receivers. We can just basically call them Aaron Rodgers' henchmen. And what is that? They just signed Randall Cobb too, and they also got Alan Lazard. They signed Mecole Hardman. So they're just adding a plethora of weapons, which I think just opened up that playbook and opened up that field so much more for a guy like Breece Hall, who obviously we saw that when he found even the smallest of holes last year, did amazing things with it. And that's not what she said, by the way. Anyways, I can only imagine what he can do with a big hole. And again, that's not what she said. So Breece Hall, number 2 running back here for me. Jacob, any thoughts about Breece Hall?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you didn't mention I have him at number 5. So that's kind of how he ended up being the number 2 consensus on our list. But Breece Hall. So I'll tell you what, if he never got injured, and look, we didn't see a lot from him, but what we saw from him was amazing. And it's been said hundreds of times throughout the offseason, not by me, that arguably Breece Hall would be the number 1 running back in fantasy if he didn't get injured last year. Like I'm saying, going into this year, he might be the number 1 running back in redraft if he didn't get injured. So I'll say if he didn't get injured, he would be my number 1 dynasty running back. I would be right there with you. No injury concerns. It's Breece Hall, especially because he has Aaron Rodgers now, at least for the next couple years, or at least for a year, I guess we could say. So the talent's all there. Like, not to say that he's better than Bijan, but if you put Bijan on the Jets, then I would have Bijan over Breece Hall. You know what I mean? Like it's that you're playing with Aaron Rodgers. You have Garrett Wilson there. I think they proved that, they're a much better team than the Falcons right now. So it's just, and we've seen several running backs succeed with Aaron Rodgers there and having the running backs be fantasy relevant. The Aaron Jones. Who was the other guys? The Eddie Lacy, even though it was like for 2 years only, he shined bright. So I'm with you with Hall. I have him at 5, but it's only because he's coming off injury. That's all.
Yeah, and it's, with Bijan Robinson, you haven't seen it, but you can predict it. And with Breece Hall, you've seen it, but he's been barred by injury. And I just think that the ACL is not the ACL of years past, right? Saquon Barkley has been able to come back and be dominant. Adrian Peterson at like 29 was able to come back and be dominant. I think we look at the ACL injury like it's a career ender, or at least for fantasy purposes, right? They're going to come back, they're going to miss a step, right? And it's just not the case. So I do think he has the talent to overcome this. I think he's on a really good football team, and really good football teams usually replicate really good fantasy players. And that is why I have Breece Hall at number 1. Jacob has him at number 5. Let's move on. Again, Jacob has Kenneth Walker III as his 2nd-ranked Dynasty QB. I do have him ranked. I think we should probably talk about him. You are absolutely right. I have someone else at number 3 that kind of dissuades that notion. But Kenneth Walker is my number 6 Dynasty QB. So I believe so. Consensus number 3. That's a good place for him. Jacob, you got him higher. What are your thoughts?
So like I said, I did my ranks about like 5 weeks ago, and I had Kenneth Walker at number 1, and I've since cooled off a little bit. I have him at 3, right? I have him at 2. I have him at 2. So I just moved him down 1 spot because Bijan was drafted. But to me, like, what I saw from this guy was so promising. And honestly, I think people are reacting a little too much to the Zach Charbonnet drafting. Like, they're acting like he's going to come in and take over or like 50-50 split. I'm like, I don't think so. Look, I know that Pete Carroll, he's kind of had this rotation wheel of running backs, but it's because of injury. If you think about it, when he finds a guy, he sticks to him until they get injured. And that's why we've seen a carousel over there at running back. It's not like, oh, this guy played great. No, bench him. Let's start this other guy. Like going through Penny and all these running backs over the years, they just all kept getting banged up. So for me, I think Kenneth Walker's the guy. And another thing, I think that's why he took Charbonnet, because if something happens to Kenneth Walker, they got to have some depth. And we know Pete Carroll loves to run the ball. So I'm not really worried about Charbonnet. And the thing is, maybe if they don't draft him, maybe I do still have Kenneth Walker at number 1. Maybe they can flip-flop there. But another thing is he's not a prolific pass catcher. Like, I think he's a capable one, but he's not prolific. So if he even had, the pass catching abilities that we've seen from like a Ramondre Stevenson so far, I would maybe even lock him in at number 1. But lack of pass catching, little bit of, I think Charbonnet is going to eat into his workload a little bit. But other than that, man, wheels up for Kenneth Walker III. I have him at number 2, and I hate it because he's a Seahawk.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Zach Charbonnet, but I'm worried about Zach Charbonnet. I think, what did they spend? I got to figure out what they spent on.
I think it was a second-round pick.
Is it a second-round pick? You don't just toss away second-round picks. We're talking about like Dallas Cowboy running backs that were drafted in the 6th round, like they're going to encroach on Tony Pollard, right? Or other running backs that were drafted that are going to be supreme handcuffs. Second round is pretty valuable to be drafting a running back as a backup. But you're right. Kenneth Walker doesn't really have the receiving chops. He's caught what? Let's see here. I'm just looking up his numbers really quick. 27 receptions last year, 35 targets. So it's not horrible. One thing that I've noticed about Kenneth Walker is that he's kind of like the running back version of Tyreek Hill circa 2018, where it's like he's so boom or bust. And I really should back that up. So before I do, because I feel like this is just an impression I have, but now I'm going to do some research. So give me 1 second. Just pulling up his stats overall from last year. Any random thoughts today, Jacob?
Well, I was on a stroll this morning. No, nothing. I did just realize, though, I messed up on my rankings.
It's okay. Well, now you don't have to tell people. So I pulled them up. And I'm just kind of looking here. Last year, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running back 1 finishes, which is good, right? It's not bad. But, those guys that you draft at the top of your draft order, you want them to kind of be consistent unless, like I said, it's that circa, Tyreek Hill 2019 where he was putting up those insane games, but also giving you like 2 or 3 dud games in a row. And I just don't know. This is the other thing too, right? We are graced by guys like King Henry, who can literally carry 350 carries and not get injured. Saquon Barkley, yes, hampered by injuries last year, did great. And then, of course, anybody in an Arthur Smith offense, which Derrick Henry was, and now we're going to see Bijan Robinson. These guys will get worked and don't typically get injured. For some reason in Seattle, everyone gets injured at the running back position. So it scares me a little bit, but I don't usually consider injuries a factor unless they're like super persistent. Kenneth Walker, he only missed 2 games last year. So I'm not like terribly afraid of that aspect of it. He's still in my Dynasty running back rankings. I have him at number 6. Jacob has a number 2. So consensus number 3. That's a fine spot for me. I'm not concerned about it. I just think that there are more consistent guys on this list, and that's kind of why he takes a hit for me. So that's kind of why. Any thoughts? Any last clothing thoughts on your love for Kenneth Walker III?
No, that's fair. I mean, I just think, second year, I think he's going to improve. So, I love Kenneth Walker. I'm hoping I can grab him here in a couple of leagues coming up.
For sure. Well, you can definitely have him in our 3-player keeper league. I'm no longer interested. So
in the player or the league?
Well, for now the player.
Both. But hey, right. Yes, let's work that out.
We'll work it out after the show. Let's move on. So here's where it gets a little sticky. There are some guys that I have in my top 7. Jacob, I don't know if you made errors and are now trying to fix them. But
okay, yes, there was a guy I forgot about, and then I have some honorable mentions, but
okay. Is the guy you forgot about last name?
So the thing is, the guy I forgot about, I actually have him at number 7, so it works out fine. So we haven't got to
all right, all right.
I don't know if your notes refreshed or not, but that's all.
Let's refresh. Let's see. No, I still see they refreshed. All right, I'm still like, you don't have this guy. Okay, well then let's go to number 4. Number 4, it's gonna have to be Christian McCaffrey, running back for the San Francisco 49ers. I have him at number 3. You have him at number 6. Here's why I have him at number 3. He plays in the best offense, I think, in all of NFL football, and that's coming from a Raiders fan. That's coming from a guy who is talking about a team who doesn't even know who their quarterback is going into 2023.
Crazy.
I do think that for all the things that Kyle Shanahan does, one thing that he does do right is he runs the ball and he figures out a way to get his most talented players the ball, like we've seen with Deebo Samuel, like we've seen with George Kittle, and like we saw with Christian McCaffrey after they acquired him last year midseason. And yes, one big factor is age, but my motto in Dynasty is always that 2 to 3 window, 2 to 3 year window. Christian McCaffrey is still very much viable in that 2 to 3 year window. We see pass catching running backs have far more of a lifespan than running backs that don't catch the ball. So I think even if he has another great season, boom, enters into his 27, 28 season, he's still young. Like, we think he's old, but in running back age, especially in that offense, they're going to work. They're not going to run him into the ground, and he's still going to be super efficient. I want him everywhere, especially if you're trying to win now. And also, if you're looking to turn it around with a quick rebuild, he's a guy that's going to be there for the next 2, possibly 3 years. And that's why I want him on my team. So he's by far the best running back in fantasy football. But in dynasty perspectives, there's obviously youth that comes into play. And then also in redraft perspectives, he's probably my number 1 running back off the board. I'll go out and say it. So that's why I like Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, in redraft, he's definitely number 1. He reclaimed that spot. Look, I'm a 49ers fan, so there's a little bit of bias coming in. But look, I have him at, what do I have him, number 6?
You have him at 6.
And for better or for worse, look, we all play fantasy in different ways. We all play dynasty in different ways. For better or for worse, I tend to build my teams young. I just do. Go look at my it's all young players. I just traded for Mike Evans, which is so uncharacteristic of me, but it was a great deal for me, though. 2/3 Mike Evans. Come on now. But I typically go young. So when I do my rankings, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm on the clock right now, which guy do I take first? And I'm like, if I was doing a dynasty draft, this is the order I would take these guys in. So that's how I look at it. And I love Christian McCaffrey. He's on my 49ers. But to me, and maybe it's unfair because like you said, he might have longevity compared to some of the other running backs we've seen because of his pass catching ability. I'm trying to think of a running back. There have been some I know where they kind of deteriorated as a rusher, but they just kept being fantasy relevant because of their pass catching ability. I know there's been a few over the years. Maybe I'm thinking of Danny Whitehead. I remember that guy.
Sure. He had a weird resurgence.
He was a pass catcher only, right? But they have this usage still in fantasy because of that. And I could see CMC being 29, 30. I mean, look at Mostert over in Miami. He's still ticking over there. So, and we were still starting him in the flex in fantasy last year. Some people were. So CMC could definitely be 29, 30. getting 5 targets a game still.
Is he going to be an RB1?
60
No,
yards.
we're not saying
maybe
that,
not. But like
he's valuable.
He can still contribute to your dynasty team for maybe another 4 years, maybe. But give me the young dudes over him. That's all. Give me the young studs.
He's 26 right now. He'll be 27.
It's not even old.
It's not even old. We're older than him, man. Come on. What are we doing? If you're faced in, let's see, Jacob, Christian McCaffrey or Breece Hall, startup dynasty draft.
I mean, obviously, Breece Hall, I guess. I mean, yeah.
Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley?
Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. Christian McCaffrey or Travis Etienne?
CMC slightly.
Okay. Let's push your limit one more time. Christian McCaffrey, Tony Pollard.
Yeah, it's tough. It is tough because I want to. But the thing
These
is,
guys will all
Tony
be available.
Tony Pollard's 25. So
yeah, right.
But he has way less miles on his tires. But I would go CMC.
Okay. Good to know. Highly touted, best running back in football by far. And he's your consensus number 4 running back on our dynasty rankings. Let's move on to number 5. And this is just where it gets so off the rails. No, it doesn't. We have one more commonality. So let's talk about him.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see, because, I looked a lot of places and I just kind of wanted to see like what the general reaction was for this player. And a lot of people are still very high on him. And again, we're talking dynasty. He's still very much a commodity. He's a top tier player, but I just have him a little bit lower, but he's still a top dynasty player. So yes, you need to get him where you can. It's not like I'm saying he's the worst.
And he's only 24.
And he's only 24. We're talking about Jonathan Taylor, running back for the Indianapolis Colts.
How does he go from like the number 1 running back overall to now nobody cares about him?
Well, let's talk about the reasons why he's gone down. Well, and that's the thing. The places where I'm looking, they still have him number 1, number 2 overall. Probably number 3 now with the Bijan thing. But I have him at number 5. Jacob has him at number 4. Clearly, we're nitpicking. So let's talk about some of the issues why we think we're nitpicking against Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's been injured, just like Breece Hall has. He didn't tear his ACL. He only missed a few games. He came back and was super fine.
That was like the first game he's missed like ever, meaning high school, college, and pros. That's crazy.
It is super crazy, but I always find it funny. Like, who is the guy that's doing all the research for NFL? Like,
who knows that?
Who finds all these random stats? And
how do they know he never missed a high school game?
Right. You're right. I don't.
I guess there's box scores for those somewhere.
Yeah, I guess whatever. But yes, he's consensus number 5 for us. I think the big kind of knack for me is that team was awful overall last year. They needed to improve that offensive line. They've done a little bit. I don't know if it's enough. And then on top of it all, they added Anthony Richardson in the draft. And we've just seen, look at Jalen Hurts. Look at the running back core for the Eagles last year. Jalen Hurts, all those touchdowns. What did Eagles running backs have? I think they had like 2 combined touchdowns all year long, 2 or 3. I'll have to fact check that, but I will look in it when Jacob gives his thoughts. But, there's so much upside now that is lost because of it. Anthony Richardson is clearly going to come in. He's going to rush the ball. He's going to run it. And what's he going to take at the goal line? He's 6'4", 220. The guy is built to last. And he's a quarterback. So every play starts and ends with him, unless you're running Jonathan Taylor in the Wildcat, which the Indianapolis Colts don't do. So, there's a lot of factors here. When you look at the other guys in front of him, Bijan Robinson, Desmond Ritter's not going to run the ball. He's not going to do anything fancy around the goal line. You look at Kenneth Walker, Geno Smith, yeah, he might run the ball, but he's not going to do anything crazy. Whoever the 49ers have, Trey Lance, sure, but we don't know that yet. And then who was at number 5? Oh, Aaron Rodgers. He's not looking to run anymore. He's too old for that. One hit and he's out of the league. So I just think all those players in front of him, they have safe floors because of the lack of rushing presence from their quarterbacks. Whereas, Jonathan Taylor, good luck, buddy. We might see it severely hampered with the addition of Anthony Richardson. Jacob, thoughts?
Oh, where you're coming from. And I love Jonathan Taylor. In our long ongoing keeper league, I have him in that league, and like he's like, until I got Jamar Chase, he was like the crown jewel of my team. But I'm still so high on him. He's 24. Like, I feel great. I have him in Breece Hall. Like, I'm locked and loaded at running back in that league, and I'm just ready to go. So me having Taylor at number 4, you at 5, that's pretty high for as far as consensus goes. And I will say, like, yes, I do believe that Anthony Richardson will, cut into his potential goal line work, his rushing work overall. But I also think they're going to score more. I think they're going to put up more yards. So I think there's going to be more yards and more touchdowns to go around. On top of this, I will go back to Shane Steichen, who was the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Some Shane Steichen.
Yes. And you know where he's from, baby? Sacramento. He's from Sacramento. That's what's up.
I didn't know that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So the reason why I like him is because I heard his press conference when he got hired, and he was so serious. He was like,
that's definitely Jacob's MO, if you know Jacob, by the way.
He was not messing around, and I was like, I like this dude. So anyways, all around from Sacramento, like his attitude. But who had their best season last year as running back on the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah.
Miles Sanders.
And before you go any further, I did want to fact check. Jalen Hurts did have 13 rushing touchdowns, which was the most on the Philadelphia Eagles last year. But Miles Sanders had 11. And Kenneth Gainwell had 4, and Boston Scott had 3. So
that's where I'm going.
I retract my other comment.
That's where I'm going with this is that was literally – this guy was calling those plays. And now he has Jonathan Taylor, an upgrade from Miles Sanders.
100%.
And then we'll see with Anthony Richardson. But so I think they can have a nice balance. I mean, and the receivers did well in Philadelphia also. So it's like, wheels up, man. Let's go. So to me, like, JT could be 101. Like, running back. He could still be the number 1 running back in fantasy. He has that potential.
He definitely does. He's fallen a little bit, but like I said, he's clearly an upgrade over Miles Sanders, and everybody talks about what Miles Sanders was able to do last year. Well, Jonathan Taylor is 5 times that player. Sorry, no offense, but I get where you're coming from. But still, we have guys that we like a little bit more, which is why we find Kenneth Walker as our consensus number 5 running back in our Dynasty rankings. And that's where he will stay until otherwise noted. All right. Jacob, it just gets really off the walls here for 6 and 7. So I don't know how we want to do it.
I think we just go so we start with my number 3 and we go down. We go my number 3, your number 4, and then our number 7s.
Okay. Because I am adding this guy because I think that
because I have 3 also at the bottom.
It's turning into a top 10, but at least they're in the same ballpark. Did you forget
about him too?
I didn't forget about him.
I didn't forget about him, but remember I was putting my list together. I was rearranging my rankings last minute, and that's why.
Was that the guy you forgot about?
Yes, that was him.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, then let's go. Okay, in all due respect, I'm going to go with mine first because you don't even have him, and that's disrespect.
Well, you don't have mine either.
Well, I don't think it's as much disrespect as mine, okay? And
yes, wait, why shouldn't I go first? Mine's higher.
No, my guy's been higher year after year.
What?
Yes, my guy.
Ew.
I'm going with Saquon Barkley, running back for the New York Giants. Get out of here with that. He's getting no love on your rankings. He's the number 4 dynasty running back for me. Now I just want to know. I just want to see here. Let's see. What was he last year? Wasn't he the running back 2 last year in fantasy football?
Look, to be fair, my pre-draft rankings, my pre-draft dynasty rankings, I have him at 12.
That's awful, Jacob. You are sick man.
So now he's at like 14.
Hold on. I can't believe this.
All right, now, because I have Gibbs ahead of him too.
God, Jacob, what is wrong with you?
I don't know, man. I don't.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was the number 5 running back in fantasy football last
That's
year.
great.
It was awesome.
And where did Josh Jacobs finish? And why isn't
He's
he on
26.
our list?
He'll be 27.
Why isn't Josh Jacobs on our lists?
Josh Jacobs is not on our list for a multitude of reasons. I don't know. Like
he was a top running back last year too.
Sure, he was number 3. Okay, I'm starting to see your point. But Saquon Barkley, pass catching, check. Ability to run the football, check. Finally played a full healthy season, check. Played for Coach of the Year last year, check. Extended Daniel Jones, check. Added Darren Waller in free agency, check.
On the franchise tag and doesn't want to play until he gets a deal.
The New York Giants, and yes, he's on the franchise tag, and there's very much a possibility that he won't play. I mean, it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's a big possibility, but still, the guy needs to be in your dynasty top 7 rankings.
Top 14.
So much disrespect. That's all I got to say. So, yeah, go ahead. Take the floor. Who's your number 3 dynasty running?
Well, I'll just say, look, I like Saquon. I don't want to make a heavy investment in him in dynasty. I think he's got a year or 2 left. I just think he does. Like, I think he's going to break down faster than CMC and Eckler. I just do.
He is more of that workhorse. He is more of the workhorse. So I feel that. But for 2 to 3 years,
for me, it's more about what I'm passing up on in that range when I'm drafting for dynasty. But yeah, I have this man pretty damn high. So I have Ramondre Stevenson at number 3. Number 3. Now look, I love Ramondre Stevenson. I've been a truther since his rookie year. Last year, he should have been my ride or die last year. Instead, I went with AJ Dillon, and we all know how that went. But I should have went with Ramondre Stevenson because I had Ramondre Stevenson on like all my teams last year. I was able to cash him in and trade him for some significant players in other leagues. So I have a strong connection to Ramondre Stevenson, a little bit of bias, and I do hear some of the question marks are like, oh, he's a Patriots running back. Like Bill Belichick, he's not loyal to running backs. He'll change on him in a split second. And I hear you, but like, do you watch the Patriot games? He's so good. He's so electrifying. As soon as that ball touches his hands, he just goes. And it's like, and he's just so electric and he moves so quick. And I really like him, and he's tough. And he just has a cool look. I just think Ramondre is the man. Like his dreads look so cool hanging out of that Patriots helmet. Like, oh, let's go.
I didn't know style had anything to do with ability.
Hey, style definitely factors in, man. For me, it does.
Let's pamper it up here. Ramondre Stevenson or Najee Harris? You're drafting.
Ramondre.
Okay, Ramondre Stevenson or Breece Hall? Clearly, probably Breece Hall. Right? Ramondre Stevenson or Travis Etienne, who we're going to talk about in a minute.
I mean, Stevenson.
Okay. Ramondre Stevenson or Nick Chubb in a redraft.
Oh,
that one a redraft because I know Nick Chubb in Dynasty you're probably fading, but in a redraft, Ramondre or Nick Chubb. And I get it. We're talking about Dynasty.
Probably Nick Chubb, but it's close.
Okay. All right. I mean, hold on. I'm just looking at NFC draft boards right now, and these are drafts that have been completed in the last 8 or 9 days. Ramondre Stevenson is currently the 13th running back off the board, and this is redraft, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
But you can find him in the 3rd round, beginning of the 3rd round. Tony Pollard's behind him. I'd rather have Tony Pollard. Okay. All right. I see the case because there's not a lot after. I honestly might want J.K. Dobbins. That's a discussion to be had.
Instead of Stevenson? No way.
So.
You're crazy, man. I literally have him at number 3. Like, you're naming guys that I have under him.
I know, but I'm naming guys who I would take ahead of him. He's not on my top 7.
Crazy.
Joe Mixon, maybe. Joe Mixon.
Wait, can I have him? Give me him in Dynasty.
Yes, let's 100% talk. But just know I know your value of him. That's all I'm saying. So let's talk.
And I know your value of him. So
I'd
say in the middle.
He's in like the top 15 for me. So
we'll meet in the middle.
We'll meet in the middle. Fair. Okay. We have a couple other names to close out our top 7. So this is turning into a top 10. And then we want to talk about these rookie running backs really quick to get some honorable mentions in there. Jacob, you have Travis Etienne, Tony Pollard, and AJ Dillon. I have Tony Pollard, Austin Eckler, and Travis Etienne. So we have very similar players, minus Dillon for me and minus Eckler for you. So those guys can kind of fade out a little bit. Let's focus more on why we like Travis Etienne and Tony Pollard so much.
Sure. So Etienne was the guy that I didn't forget about him. I just, for some reason, I didn't put him on there. But no, Etienne, and I could have Etienne higher. Look, we saw there was a stretch last year where he was just incredible and he was winning weeks. And I was a beneficiary of it in one league, and I was loving it. And I really do think the Trevor Lawrence connection is huge. Like, they played together for so long. They're going to continue to play together. And look how good Trevor Lawrence is becoming, and that offense and that team just coming together overall in general. I think they're set up for success. Yeah, they drafted Tank Bigsby, but like that wasn't a high draft capital pick. So I'm not really worried about it. It's just insurance, and wheels up for ETN. Like I really do think like sky's the limit for him. Honestly, any of my top 7 could finish number 1 in my eyes.
No.
So, and I throw ETN in there.
Completely fair. Fun fact, we both had Kenneth Walker ranked above him. Travis Etienne finished one spot ahead of him last year in PPR. That's crazy. He was the running back.
I don't think people look at him as a workhorse, even though he's getting most of the work.
The thing for me is that he was supposed to be a pass catching specialist, and he only had 35 receptions last year, which if you want to be a pass catching specialist in the NFL, like we're talking in the 50s, right? Austin Eckler CMC numbers, 50, 60 receptions a year. So he saw half that and quite few less. He did actually have a really good catch radius, though. 45 targets, 35 receptions. That's pretty good. But for me, that's what I want to see. As this offense continues to grow, can Travis Etienne grow into a more of a solid, receiving back option? If that can happen, then by all means, he's like a top 4 or 5 guy for me in dynasty drafts. Like no problems at all. But I got to see it to believe it. And, because of that, he's not my top 5. He's right around top 7. So good for him. Only 2 spots. But yeah, other guys just a little bit more talented, but not afraid of having some Travis Etienne at all. I traded him so many times last year. I don't know why. No, that's not true. I traded him a lot during his rookie season. So I think he's consensus number 7. We both have Tony Pollard, so he'd be like right around 8 or so. Tony Pollard, they didn't do a lot in the draft. They invested in a 6th round rookie. Yeah. Probably going to be a sparing back just to kind of go in there, give him a breather. But this field's his. This backfield is
I love Tony Pollard. I just don't think it's going to be like – I don't think he's the Dallas starting running back for the next 5 years. It's just –
No, and like you said, right, he's 25, so it's a little bit older. But for 1 or 2 years, this guy could be pretty darn good for fantasy. We're talking volume, pass catching abilities, and everything. That's why we find him at 8. But we got to see it to believe it first. Let's see if they kind of inject that rookie in.
I mean, he already kind of proved it last year.
He's been amazing the last 2 years.
But
right? He's been really.
We'll see if they actually don't bring Zeke back, and it's really his job. That's going to be interesting.
That is going to be very interesting indeed. And then last but not least, I just want to
say shout out AJ Dillon because he's my last honorable mention. He's the next Derrick Henry. He's the next Derrick Henry. Mark my words. You'll see.
All right, and shout out to Austin Eckler. He is not.
You mean the number 1 running back last year?
He was the number 1 running back last year, and we are straight up hating on him.
I know.
I have him right around number 8 for me, so I still love him some. I still want some more of him. I'm just gonna stop talking. There you have it. So let's see if we can break it down really quick. We had Breece Hall at number 1. I didn't write this after. We have Breece Hall at number 1. No. We had Bijan Robinson at number 1. Breece Hall at number 2.
Oh.
We had Christian McCaffrey at 3. Kenneth Walker. No. Kenneth Walker was at 3 for us.
Or was it Taylor? Oh, wait.
No. Taylor was 4.
No, Kenneth Walker's at 3.
Wait a second. Okay, hold on. Let's write
So
it down.
Bijan for sure.
Bijan. Then Brees. Then it was Brees. I think then, because you had Kenneth Walker at 2. I
have
6.
Kenneth Walker at 2. You have 6. You have CMC at 3.
He was our third. He was our third.
So Kenneth Walker. Yeah.
Yes. And then it was
Then
Christian
CMC?
McCaffrey. Yeah. Then Taylor. And then I don't know what you did after that. It got crazy. So I guess
those are our top 5.
Yeah,
That's
but
fair.
then we got Stevenson for you. But technically, he's not even on my radar, and Barkley isn't on your radar. So these other guys should technically kind of squeeze in there.
ETN would be the next one, and Pollard.
And then
Pollard, yeah.
All right, with all those other guys in the back seat.
Hey, that's our consensus top 7. We said top 7, right?
Yeah,
there it is.
Stardew says, great show, guys. This was a ton of fun. But also, wait, Stardew, if you're still there, he mentioned a name at the very beginning of the podcast that I think we need to talk about. We're going to preview some rookie running backs here, give you our quick takes.
Wait, hold on. I will say really quick. I was thinking that the viewers could see our doc, but they can't. So that was very confusing. Like, I don't think any audio listener would have caught that. So it was Bijan number 1, Brees Hall number 2, Kenneth Walker number 3, CMC number 4, Jonathan Taylor number 5, Travis Etienne number 6, and Tony Pollard number 7. Those are our consensus Dynasty running back rankings.
It's not bad. That's a good list. That's a solid list. Solid list. And again, Stardew says a great show, ton of fun. We got like 6 minutes here, and clearly there are some running backs we didn't talk about. Sleepers, whatever you may have, other rookie running backs that were drafted. I'm gonna preview 2 of them. I don't know if Jacob has any more, but the one that I really want to talk about is Devon Achane, running back for the Miami Dolphins. He was a 3rd-round pick. I'm very optimistic about his fantasy outlook playing with the Miami Dolphins and their system that they have over there. He's another speedster, 5'9". He ran a 4.32 at the combine. People are saying that he's like the only guy that can beat Tyreek Hill in a race. So just think about all that speed that the Miami Dolphins now have. Think about who he's playing behind, Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, both really good running backs. Unfortunately, both very much injury-prone running backs. So we could see this guy as a really special gadget type of player who could be really good in a flex when you need him for your fantasy team going into 2023. And low-key, he's got some really good passing chops as well. And an offense that should be passing the ball a ton with Tua at the helm, because that's what we saw last year. So, Devon Achane, get him some. I literally offered Joe P, like Antonio Gibson. This was after the draft the other day.
So I will say regarding Achane, he dropped to the 3rd round. So there was a whole controversy because obviously Joe P, he's like, usually near the bottom of the standings every year, right? So that's all I'll say to be nice. But Joe P was up in the draft and Devon Achane was still available in the 3rd round of a rookie dynasty draft. I don't know how that happened because they have him as like 111 in some league, like as far as rookie Superflex dynasty drafts go.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So he falls to the 3rd round. Joe P's sitting there like we desperately want Joe P's team to get better so it can compete with other teams in the league. And we're like, please take Achane, however you pronounce it.
No, I didn't want him to take him.
And he's sitting there. So Justin was next.
Yeah, we wouldn't have wanted that.
So we were like, no, please don't go to Justin. And then Joe P drafts him. We're like, yeah. Me and Joe were on the phone.
Oh,
we
my goodness. My goodness. See, now, I did not have a pick until the 3rd round in that dynasty draft. And I'm just watching in amazement. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way this guy's going to fall. And sure enough, we get to within 2 picks. I had the 308. And I'm like, there's no way. And I'm looking at Justin's team. I'm like, no. He's got good running backs. There's no way he needs
He would have taken him.
I don't think he would have. I just don't know. I don't know. But in my mind, I'm like, Justin, Joe's going to go wide receiver. He's going to do something weird like he always does. And he takes him. And I'm like,
I'm so happy he got him because, like, multiple reasons.
But I mean, come on. I'm offering Gibson. I'm offering
and he said no.
Gibson, Jacoby Myers package. That is overpay for a guy that we don't know. We're just speculating right now. We're just speculating. And, he's really small for a running back, too. He's like 5'9", 190. Like, he's pretty small. That's like me. but obviously chiseled,
and that's why,
and like really good at football. But still,
that's why I drafted this other guy over him. And this is my dart throw that I really like, and that's Kendre Miller of the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
Now this guy's 6 foot, 206. His last year at TCU, he had 224 carries for 1,399 yards. Averaged 6.2 yards per carry. He had 17 touchdowns. And he's a capable pass catcher. So we know there's a suspension looming for Kamara. Probably going to happen this year. Also,
I just traded for him.
Kamara's like, are his days on the Saints forever? Who knows?
He's signed. I did a lot of research with Kamara the last couple of days, as you can see via things that I've been doing behind the scenes. He is signed through his age 30 season. He's going to be 28 this year. So,
okay.
Yes, but no. Totally, they can buy him out. That doesn't mean he's going to trade him.
Yeah.
Everything I got from the articles that I was reading is that they are going to get rid of him.
Those last 2 years are probably not guaranteed.
Exactly.
So they can
cut I don't know about that, but I'm just saying he could.
Well, no, that's how it usually works with running back, especially the running back contracts. But because they give the bonus up front, the guaranteed money up front. Anyways, I think sooner or later, Kendre Miller is going to be on the field. He's 20 years old. I know Jamal Williams signed a 2 or 3 year deal, but like he's never going to be like the lead horse back. I like Kendre Miller a lot. So that if you like Devin A-Chain for a running back, like I think they're more than dart throws. But
no, but yeah, they're definitely not dart throws. These are good investments.
Some guys with a lot of high upside past Gibbs and Bijan. Who do you like? It's not easy to evaluate who you like there. Like any of these guys can hit, any of them can bust. So I like Miller.
I will say I have another guy who's a little bit higher than him, and that was Tajay Spears, running back out of Tulane, who went to the Tennessee Titans.
Really?
I mean, Derrick Henry getting a little bit older. Hassan Haskins was relegated to punt return duties last year by the end of it all. Didn't really do much. So this could be a supreme handcuff as we all await the inevitable the downturn of what's his name? Yeah, King Henry.
Yeah, so the NFL teams are drafting their replacements, and the fantasy players are drafting their replacements as well.
Exactly, right? So he was another one that I was pretty high on, just because of what could be volume in that offense as they probably enter a complete rebuild. And then what if they trade Henry? There were talks before the draft. There's still some murmurs after the draft. But as of right now, we have to plan for if he is there. I think he's a good handcuff in fantasy football. And then for me at least, the last one was Jahmyr Gibbs. He was the second running back consensus in dynasty drafts. Pass catching back, went to the Detroit Lions. Everybody was going crazy. What are we gonna do? Well, they traded DeAndre Swift the next day, and it all worked out. So he finds himself with David Montgomery, who could very easily take on that kind of Jamal Williams role. And we can see Jahmyr Gibbs evolve into a super pass-happy type of player that we want him to be for fantasy. So definitely warrants top 5, top 6 dynasty pick right now.
Well, yeah,
and going sooner than that.
Look, Bijan is Bijan, right? Like he's revolutionary, but I'm super high on Gibbs too, man. Like I really wanted to take him with the 102 in our super flex, but I couldn't. I had to get Anthony Richardson, but I think Gibbs' ceiling is, I don't think he has a ceiling. I think he can be a superstar. For sure. And then David Tulane says, dynasty running back star who is being overlooked is Rachaad White. Not a bad pick.
I
like that because for me, it's like, well, look, don't forget there's a lot of veteran running backs still out there. We got Zeke, we got Fournette, we even got Kareem Hunt still out there. And they're going to sign
unsigned guys. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm saying out there. So doesn't mean guys like Rachaad White are in the clear yet, but it's looking great to me, the NFL draft is also about who didn't get drafted or what teams didn't take. The Rachaad White in Tampa Bay, Khalil Herbert in Chicago, Tony Pollard in Dallas. Like right now their jobs are looking really good. But who knows what these teams are going to add before the season
Chicago did
starts.
draft a running back who I like too, but we'll save it for later.
I
guess I don't like him, but I like him. That's so weird to say. Now, Rashad, I think what's overlooked for him is he's a second-year player. So you think, oh, he's probably pretty young. He's going to be like 25 this season. So he's an older rookie, or he was an older rookie. And then that team could be potentially really, really bad. I don't know what's going to happen there. They could be in a rebuild situation. Or who knows? Maybe Baker Mayfield just like totally surprises everybody like he did when he beat the Raiders in week 16 and just, play like that all year. But, yeah, it was a good pick. Good pick nonetheless. Well, Jacob, good show today. Good show. Did some rookie running backs as well. So it was pretty fun. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here, or at least let me do my spill and then you can get out of here with your hot take. So think about a hot take and I'll get us out of here with some closing credits. So thank you again for stopping by today. If you found any of this information useful or just wanted to say, hey, please be sure to like and subscribe. It helps us out so much. You have no idea. And we appreciate it so much. And if you do, we give you a big thank you. Air high fives from us to you. So thanks for stopping by. And if we didn't give you any information you like, well, you know what? Come back next time. Maybe you'll find something a little bit different that is more appealing to you. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube at First Round Fantasy. We're coming at you sometime in the future with our wide receiver rankings. So be on the lookout for that. And then as always, we just appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for stopping by today. Jacob, let's get them out of here with a hot take. What do you got?
Well, I hinted towards it a few minutes ago, but I will say my hot take is
make it hot because I want to be able to press this button, baby.
Look, Jahmyr Gibbs will be a top 10 running back this season. Let's go.
Peace.